On this video, I'm going to show you how to make your very own headband. It really is a quick sew, I promise. I've been making these t-shirts and I'll pop the link to the video tutorial on how to make your own if you're interested. But I had loads of jersey left over and it's really nice prints as well, so I just didn't want to let it go to waste. So it got me thinking, what can I do with this fabric? I had a little chat with my daughter. She's really into headbands at the moment. And I thought, what a cute little project. It literally takes 10 minutes to make up one of these. It's like 3 shapes of fabric, really quick to sew. And if you don't have an overlocker, that's fine too. I'm going to show you how to use it with an overlocker, but I'm going to talk about how you can use a sewing machine as well. So please don't let that put you off if you don't have an overlocker. And I don't know, what do you think? Matchy good or matchy bad? I don't know, I can't make my mind up. Hi, I'm Emma from Studio 77. If you're new here, thanks for popping by. Please consider hitting that subscribe button if you like sewing tips and tutorials. And don't forget to leave any comments or queries you have in the comments box below. Also in the description, I have links to everything I've used in this project, as well as my favourite items that I like to use to sew. And I will also put the timestamps, so if you want to pause and go back, forward wind, rewind, totally fine. But anyway, let's go to the tutorial. So to make this project, you're going to need some jersey fabric, a rotary cutter and ruler and cutting mat. You're going to need, of course, scissors, pins, and then a loop turner, or you can also use a safety pin if you don't have one. The first thing you need to do is you need to cut 3 different pieces. So we're going to have 3" by 3" piece, and then we need to cut 2 pieces which are both 18 inches long and 3 inches on the short edge. And when you cut these 2 pieces, you need to make sure that the stretch is going across the width of the fabric. Then we need to fold each long piece in half, lengthways, pin along those edges, and then we're going to stitch them. Also going to pin this short piece over as well, making sure the stretch is going across the way we're going to pin it, and we're going to stitch that too. So over at the sewing machine, I'm going to use my overlocker, and this is a great beginner project if you've just got an overlocker and you're learning to use it, or a serger as you guys call it in the US. But you could also use your sewing machine as well. Don't be put off just because I'm using an overlocker. You could do it on a regular sewing machine. Just make sure that you use a zigzag or a lightning stitch, which is the stitch that looks like lightning basically, or stretch stitch. You definitely want to use a walking foot if you're using a regular machine. But as I say, I'm going to use an overlocker. And so we're just going to sew along those edges that we've just pinned. So now we've got our 3 pieces stitched, we then need to turn them the right way out. Now the small one, of course, that's really easy to do. You can just flip that. But the longer ones, you're going to want to use a loop turner, or you're going to want to use a safety pin. Now this is a really cool tool if you're going to be doing a few of these. This project as well would be so great to sell. I reckon they'd sell really well. They're quite quick to make up too. So with the loop turner, if you haven't used one before, you just put the larger loop through your piece, and then you use the kind of chopstick to push the end through. And as you can see, it makes everything super quick to turn out your loops. So the next thing we need to do is we need to secure one of the long strips into that small piece. So I've just folded it in half. Make sure it's all nicely lying straight. I'm going to snip off my ends. You don't need to worry about securing overlocker threads if it's going into another stitch. If this was the end of my stitching, I would loop it and tie it in a knot, or you can unpick it and tie it in a knot, or you can also thread it back through your stitches. So then the easiest way to do this next bit that I found is to take your short piece, and you're going to want to put the seam underneath. So the seam is going in the middle underneath, and then you need to fold in that top edge about 1/4 inch or 1/2 centimetre, like that. And then you need to get the piece that you've just folded, one of the long pieces, so the seams are laying on the same side, and then you need to place that just inside, tuck it in, and that's about 1/4 inch as well. Make sure that seam's in the middle still, and then we're going to put a pin in. And then we're going to do similar with the other strip. We're going to fold it in half with the seams lying in the same direction. Before we put it into that end, we need to get it inside of that other one. So we're going to thread it through to create that kind of lock, look, twist. And then we want the seams going in the same place, same direction as the other side. So again, I'm just going to drop that a sec. Going to flip that end in by 1/4 inch. And place that end inside. And pin it from the top as well. For this next bit, you do need to use your regular machine, and we're going to put it on a zigzag, a 4 width and a 2 length. And we're just going to simply zigzag over those 2 lines. Now, like I always say, walking foot is preferable. If you don't, just use your regular foot, and you're just going to need to try and push it through gently to get it to stitch nicely. And of course, I'm using a stretch needle as well. Sometimes it needs a bit of help to get through, so I just lifted up the foot to ease that in. Locking stitch to finish. My machine does a locking stitch at the beginning automatically on zigzag as well. And you just want to check when you finish that you've caught in those back seams as well. And there you go, really simple, really quick, and a great way to use up excess jersey. And you can make one to match your t-shirts as well. Please click one of the links on the screen right now. The top one's going to take you to a great playlist of all my best beginner projects, and the bottom one is a tutorial that's just for you. I'll see you on the next video.